Patty.
Yes, I think that's a great point. Thank you so much, Earl. Great to hear from you. Have a lovely evening. And that's true. I think that there are, look, that's not to say that there are no Republicans that aren't out there to help others and they don't think of themselves first. But what I often hear are conservatives, and again, Democrats will do this too. They inject themselves into the narrative of a story, whether it's about abortion, they'll inject their own religious beliefs, their own personal experiences, and disregard the suffering and needs of so many people. And that's what the role of a public servant should be, is to serve others, not to hold on to power, not to figure out the best way to make money when you're done and you want a lobbyist job, or taking the money now in order to retain your power. There's a lot of different things, and there's no pure. I don't know that there is any public servant that can really do their job without having to bend to the will of those who are contributing to their campaigns, and that's another problem altogether. Heather's been on hold for quite a bit. Hey, Heather, thank you so much for joining us. What's on your mind?
Okay. Someone earlier mentioned CRT.
Yes. I did too, yes.
Okay, which was critical race theory. From what I understand, that's taught in law school.
Yes.
And it's not taught in, per se, elementary or high school. And the only reason I know is because I have a lawyer on the school board in the city that I'm in,
mm-hmm.
and he explained that to the teachers and the administration, and they were okay with it. And the teachers in the city that I'm in are not as worried now about what they teach. As far as as far as the fact that slavery did happen,
right?
Some other things like that. But had he not been a school board member, we might have been screwed.
There you go. You're right. There are teachers all over the country who are like, is this... Because, as you mentioned, critical race theory is taught in law school. It's a 40-year-old study of how racism impacts every element of life, in particular when it comes to our justice system and legislation, our criminal justice system. And it is... and the thing is, race itself is a social construct, but racism clearly exists, and what they're trying to negate is that racism exists. You'll hear people say, "Well, color doesn't mean anything to me," or "I don't see color." Then you are completely negating the experience of people who do experience racism. And that's and they don't want to. I don't know why is it so hard to say, racism exists, and I need to work better at acknowledging that, or helping people in my community, or what can I do to. That's the thing, is why isn't the fallback response, oh, how can I help, instead of completely contradicting someone's real life experience? I don't get that. I just don't. It's maddening.
I think we should listen to each other.
Yeah.
And I hope and pray when school board elections come up again that, if need be, they vet people running for school boards. Because from what I understand, there are some really strange folks trying to get on the school boards nowadays.
Well, that's what they're being encouraged to do, and I would say for anybody who has thought about getting involved in your community, you do not have to have children in a school to be on a school board, because you are paying property taxes in your community, which is how schools are funded, unfortunately, all over the country. And this goes to how I think organized and willing Republicans tend to be to follow that construct of here's do this, then this to achieve your goals. Whereas Democrats have so many different things that we're trying to do all at once without the single mission of really trying to exert more influence on policy. That's our goal, and yet we don't necessarily follow the appropriate steps to get there. Yeah, we're like herding cats. That's what we are.
Exactly. But I will say one thing about cinema. I saw something earlier on Twitter, and she's starting to come around on
pharmaceuticals
pricing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm pleased.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's hope.
Somewhere in there is a progressive. I mean, in 2014, she tweeted out that taxing the rich is not socialist. It's just the right thing to do. I think she tried pulling that tweet down. We know you're in there somewhere. We know you're in there somewhere. Well, have a lovely rest of your evening, Heather. How's Michigan? Everything good in Michigan?
Yeah, pretty much.
Excellent. Yay. I have to get over there soon. I love Michigan. It's beautiful.
All right, I will talk to you soon.
Take care. And let's try one more time with Howard. Let's see if Howard is Howard. Hey, I can hear you. Hi, Howard.
Hi. Yeah, you know what I can't understand is why we have people fighting for Latinos, fighting for blacks, instead of fighting for everybody. Now, I'm a 77-year-old white person, and I have to work 7 days a week because I can't survive on Social Security. And I see people half my age that's getting free medical care, free everything. And I'm not begrudging them. I'm glad they're getting it. But what I don't understand is why that we single out certain groups instead of being equal and fair to everybody.
Well, actually, I would say, Howard, that there are people who are fighting for senior citizens as well. So I would ask then, I mean, to your point, then it would be, why are they doing that?
Well, I would say, yeah, why are they doing it? Isn't everybody created equal and treated as a human being and everybody?
They're not, though.
I just heard a guy on the radio before saying that Biden didn't do anything for black people. Well, what would you do for a black person special than you would for anybody else? Everybody should get what they're entitled to.
Here, let's do it this way then, Howard. I would say that there are, if you look at numbers, right? Let's say you mentioned Latinos, right? And the Latino population is amongst all different groups, amongst the least likely to have access to health care. So people do focus on how do we bring those numbers up? Because when we make sure, here's where I come from, Howard. When we invest in people, we save lives. So I, as a policy advisor, look at the numbers. And in your case, I also work on services for seniors, whether it's memory health care, making sure that there is appropriate nutrition available to many people, socializing, making sure that there are groups. So there are people who advocate for all those different groups. And it's just a matter of the fact that we don't do enough for seniors, and we need to elevate that. There are ways in which we have gaps that we can fill. It's really about filling those gaps, Howard. It's not about making someone better or, making sure that they're elevated. And yes, you might have people who are receiving services that perhaps you should be, and we need to find ways of making, rather than saying why are they getting that, we should say how do we help Howard. That's what I would do.
Okay, no, I agree with you 100%. Nobody should lose anything. But what I'm saying is, the poor people that don't have insurance, let's give them a job that provides insurance for them. Instead of going out and getting a menial job, let's put a tariff on a Honda and Toyota and let them buy a Chevy and Ford, and they will make some money.
Well,
see, this is what's happened. Our country is going down the drain sewer because in the 60s when I started working, General Motors and Ford sold 99% of the cars in America. So now they're down to about 25%. And as they go down, America goes down. There was an old saying always, as General Motors goes the country. And as General Motors went down, the country went down. So if we could work to be American, buy American, everybody would have health insurance.
Well, that's a much longer conversation. I mean, the fact that it was corporations that didn't want to have to work with unions anymore was a big part of that too. Wouldn't you say, Howard?
Absolutely. I'd say it. That's why people have got to fight back.
Yep.
But what I see is that our country is getting weakened because you have this group, you have that group, instead of being united and everybody together. Every person should have health care for everybody.
Yes.
But when you single out trying to bring up one group, you're getting off the track. you should say everybody across the board at this level of income should have insurance.
Oh,
they should have health coverage.
Okay, I like that.
And I think you'd be much stronger country if we said every human being needs health care.
So I would say this.
Right for everybody.
I would say this. I think you can do both. I think that you can keep fighting for health care for everyone, health care for all. And in the meantime, because I don't know when we're going to get to that point, because you got a lot of Republicans that are never going, because there's a lot of money to be made in the healthcare industry, whether it's the insurance, the billing, all the different bureaucracy levels that are involved. I 100% think we need to have health care for all. In the meantime, I'm trying to work to make sure that the people who are struggling, who aren't getting any preventative care, Latinos are more likely to wait until it's too late than they end up in the emergency room and have more costly services that are required rather than going for screening. So those kinds of things. That's why you hear people like me working towards Latino priorities.
Okay, but here's a Latino priority. Here's where I think it's wrong. Like I say, I've worked all my life, and my daughter was murdered, and I'm raising her grandchildren.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Or her children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I cannot get medical care for my grandchildren. My grandson got sick. The ambulance took him to St. Joseph. St. Joseph couldn't treat him, so they sent him to Chicago to another Admita hospital. So it's all for money and profit.
Absolutely.
Instead of sending him locally close by, they sent him all the way to Chicago, and then they couldn't do anything there, and then I had to drive to Chicago to get him, to bring him home with no treatment.
Howard, how old are your grandchildren?
25, 29, and 35.
Okay.
And I've had them for 25 years.
Oh, you're a good man, Howard. Will you do me a favor? Can you leave your information with Lady B when we get off the phone? I'd like to connect with you and see if there's anything I can do to at least figure something out or get more information. Okay, Howard?
All right, thank you.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day, Howard. I'm so sorry to hear that, and thank you for everything you're doing. You're so passionate. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Absolutely. Hold on the line. That's a lot. That's a lot right there. See, I mean, that's what it is when we hear people. And you know what? That's what I think Democrats should try to be more aware of. We should try to be more aware of what people are, when we hear someone who is angry about something, where is that coming from? And you just heard it. And Howard just hung up. You know what? I'm going to reach out to Howard. He hung up before he gave you his information, didn't he, Lady B? Did he? He did. I'm going to reach out to him. 773-763-9278. As we head into the last segment of the show, I want to, I'm going to get to our callers that are on hold, but I also want to, I have a giveaway. I've got some tickets for you to enjoy an entire weekend filled with fun and new experiences. Find out about the latest in alternative healing and nutrition. Meet with holistic practitioners, get an intuitive reading or energy work, aura, and some astrology. Shop for jewelry, handmade products, crystals, lotions, oils, clothing, and more. Attend free classes and presentations. Enjoy free do-it-yourself workshops, and you can win some awesome prizes in the raffle for charity. Purchase special event tickets to Dr. Weissman and Dr. John D'Souza's live shows and workshops. A weekend pass is $14 in advance, plus extras, $16 at the door, and this includes a tote bag, free raffle ticket, Amazon, amazing vendors, speakers and classes both on Saturday and Sunday, free DIY workshops, a raffle for charity, and there are special event speakers. You can see them on stage. So you're going to see the keynote speaker, Dr. Weissman, who is a best-selling author, and John D'Souza is a former FBI agent with top secret clearance to the real X-Files. So I want to let you know about that. We have, I believe, is this a pair of tickets that we're giving away to the Spiritual and Holistic Expo coming up on November 6th and 7th. So give us a call at 773-763-9278 for your chance to win. And we'll wrap up in just a moment on WCPT 820.
Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year has arrived. Step up your vision with top tech up to 45% off during their early access Black Friday event. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Plus, get incredible savings on Windows 11 PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping. There's also special financing with Dell Business Credit. Get started by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
This is Tom Hartman, and I'm gearing up for another great virtual labor panel with WCPT and my union friends. We'll be live from 4 to 6 p.m. on Wednesday, November 10th on 8:20 a.m., the live stream, Facebook, and on Zoom. I'll be joined by my co-hosts, Joan Esposito and Patti Vasquez, and an esteemed panel of leaders and influencers in the labor community. President Biden has reset our future and given us hope again. And this panel is all about what hope looks like, not only for unions, but the middle class, because you can't have one without the other. We'll be discussing the state of the Infrastructure Act, Building Back Better, immigration reform and our workforce, the future of clean energy for jobs in the trades, and how labor is embracing diversity and inclusion through apprenticeship training as well as in the workplace. See you there. Thank you to our generous sponsors, Smart Local 265, Operating Engineers Local 399, and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Log on to WCPT820.com for more information.
You know when you order a new video game, or a golf club, or a blender, and then it arrives at your door, you get a little thrill. Imagine how much more thrilling it is when you order a new car. With Nissan at Home, you can shop for the perfect ride and order it without ever having to go anywhere. Sure beats a golf club or a blender. Buy a new car entirely online with Nissan at Home. Delivered direct from dealer to driveway. Thrill starts here. Services may vary at participating dealers, subject to applicable law. See dealer for details.
January 6, 2021, followers of Trump and something called QAnon attempted a coup at the United States Capitol. Who are these people?
I want to live with the QAnon girl. I could be happy the rest of my life.
If you're on Twitter all today, you may see that JFK Jr. is trending because QAnon supporters have gathered in downtown. They did gather today in downtown Dallas, expecting JFK Jr. to reappear because some believe that he is going to bring about the reinstatement of Donald Trump as president. I'm not kidding, Lady V. This happened. This happened today. They were Daily Plaza. They were where his dad was. Yeah. That all. What is that? How do they have any doors left on this clown car when they are so incredibly unhinged? Hi. All right. Hold on a second. Let me just take it down a notch. Take it down a notch. If he did, is it? No, it's not crazy. I think it's crazy. Let's get to Roosevelt. Hey, Roosevelt, how are you doing?
Hello, Patti. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. I just can't. I can't with the QAnon anymore. It's
okay. As far as Mark, he reminds me of a song by Aaron Neville. Tell it like it is. That's what Mark does. He tells it like it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when it comes down to all this rewriting history, we're seeing it right now in the present. In the recent past, in January 6th, and in the future. Because they want to rewrite what happened on January 6th. It's happening right now. So they're telling us that it was a picnic. There was a get-together. There's this tourist, trying to rewrite history. Mm-hmm. And the white people in this country have rewritten their history. And it's right what you said. Children have to be taught what really happened. I'll give you a perfect example. They should teach in schools what happened to Muhammad Ali and how he was treated by the Constitution and the laws of this country, versus the guys that never served Vietnam, such as Trump, Baby Bush, Mitt Romney, Cheney. All these guys were of age to go to Vietnam, and none of them went. Yes, Muhammad Ali had to go to the Supreme Court, and because of his color. So all this thing about working together, this country has separated people, minimized what they did, and put it in the back burner. Okay, so that's just a fact. Yep. And when it comes down to also that the way the athletes were treated, such as Colin Kaepernick. And to Mark's point, they flipped what he did. And who got involved in that? Trump. He said that he was disrespectful to the national anthem. And that wasn't what it was about. He wanted to bring attention to his people, how his people are being treated by the police department. And speaking of the police department, they kept minorities, not only the police department, the fire department. So they've noticed that all the urban cities, I'm ventured to say that 90% is white. Why is it? Because during those years, when they first started those particular jobs, they kept minorities out. And remember the scandal that happened here in Chicago with those firemen that they were making fun of African Americans? It's a perfect example that this racism is going to exist. And that's the problem of this country. They don't want to face up to it. They don't want to face up that they were racist from the get-go when they took the reins, to your point.
Yeah, that's the sort of crazy part of it is we still have the effects of it, and they can't possibly deny that it existed. Yeah. I think what they feel like is that they have to take responsibility for it, but it's not. It's if we could at least acknowledge it, we can do something about it. But if you want to ignore it and miseducate people and misinform people, it's only going to get worse for everyone.
It's time to face the music. And here I'll give you another example of another athlete. Do you know that in the city of Philadelphia there's a statue of Sylvester Stallone, but there is no statue of Joe Frazier? And Joe Frazier was the real boxer. And Sylvester Stallone is not even from Philadelphia. He's just an actor.
That's a really good point. That's a really, because people are drawn to the movies and the glam of that. Right. I've got to run, Roosevelt. I've got to run. Have a great rest of your evening. Take care. Dave, I'm so sorry I can't get your call because I'm already running over. I'll be back at 9 o'clock. Jonas Bozito and I are on. Edwin Eisendrath is going to join us, as well as Mark Crute, and we'll be here giving you updates about the elections around the country, obviously with a lot of attention to Virginia. I believe I got that name right? Is that who we're having on? I see Edwin Eisendrath and Mike Crute. Sorry, Mike. Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening. And Rick Unger Show is up next. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lady B.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, men of all races across the country volunteered to join the fight, despite the United States Army being heavily segregated. Black enlistees were mostly assigned to combat support roles. But this did not stop Lieutenant Colonel Paul L. Bates, who knew of the racism and pushed his soldiers to achieve excellence. The 761st Tank Battalion was formed in the spring of 1942. It contained 30 black officers, 6 white officers, and 676 enlisted men. The unit donned the nickname the Black Panthers, wearing patches on their uniforms with a panther on it and the slogan, "Come Out Fighting." And in 1944, the 761st was assigned to General George Patton's Third Army in France. General Patton gave a colorful speech to his crew, and the Black Panthers became the first African-American tank squad in World War II. And by the end of the war, the Black Panthers had fought further east than every other United States unit, receiving 391 decorations for their heroism. With each breath, allergens, germs, and viruses get trapped in your nose. Now there's a simple and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage, available at Navage.com.
AP News, I'm Jackie Quinn. Another vaccine approval for kids, but first, the polls have closed in Virginia, where former Governor Terry McAuliffe is locked in a tight race with political newcomer Glenn Youngkin. The race is considered a litmus test for Democrats next year.
Virginia GOP Congressman Rob Whitman says a Glenn Youngkin win will send a clear message.
That's going to be a bellwether for what people want to see happen across our nation.
Congressman Matt Cartwright says he and fellow Democrats aren't worried about what happens a year from now.
Virginia governor's race will be a distant, dim memory.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
New Jersey's incumbent governor was holding a lead in polling against GOP challenger Jack Ciattarelli. A panel of CDC advisors gave its approval this afternoon for all children ages 5 to 11 to get a smaller dose COVID vaccine. Dr. Helen Talbot, who voted yes, says she's already vaccinated her own children.
We have seen the devastation of this disease, and we've seen the disruption in our kids' lives.
Final approval is expected soon from the CDC's director.